11 economics. Now what is one important thing that you have to understand is you have got two books, children. Indian Economic Development. Okay, you have got Indian Economy and you have got Statistics for Economics, right? These are the two economics books that you have got, children, for class 11. Out of this, there is a small change according to the CBSE syllabus. This is for class 12. Okay, this is class 11's part 1. Okay, if you see in your deleted portions, you will get to know what is the part 2 that you are going to have. You are going to have microeconomics, introductory microeconomics. Introductory microeconomics. Okay, this is for class 11 and part 2. Okay, that will be a part 2. Now there is a small change in it. What it is, we have already posted 2 videos for microeconomics. We have taken microeconomics. On the board it would be written as grade 12 economics, but it is meant for grade 11 economics. Please don't get confused, children. As of now, we'll start with statistics for economics because you have the book with you, right? When you come to the school, we'll exchange the book and then we'll continue with microeconomics. Clear, children? So what are we going to start with? We are going to start with statistics for economics. Kindly don't get confused. For class 11, the portions are statistics for economics and introductory microeconomics. Clear, children? So what are we going to start with? We are going to start with statistics for economics. Already 2 videos are posted for microeconomics. Now just look into it and have it for a reference. When you come back to school only, we will go in detail of it. Okay, we will start with statistics for economics. So how do you have to make the classwork notes for that? You have to jot down the notes. Okay, whatever, when I am speaking, when I am teaching, watch the video and make notes of whatever you have understood. Then you refer the same with the book. Okay, refer the same with the textbook. And then how you have to write your test and all the other things. You have to frame sentences with the points that you have taken up. Okay, I'm okay if you are going to make your own points with the keywords that I have given you. Right, children? So start learning to frame sentences. Clear, children? So that's how you're going to do, and worksheets, every video session will be accompanied with a worksheet. So I want you all to work out the worksheets properly. Now the first part that we have is statistics for economics. Right, statistics for economics, which is the textbook, part A textbook for you, and there are some deleted portions, that is 30% of the entire portions have been deleted because of this pandemic situation. So you have about data collection, organizing of data, presentation of data, measures of central tendency, then you have measures of dispersion, correlation, index numbers, and use of statistical tools. This is actually a very interesting subject. Okay, you would have already read about economics, but when you mix statistics with economics, this is really going to be a very interesting topic for us. There are going to be problems, we are going to collect data. Practically also you can involve yourself in this subject. Right? It is not only going to be theory part, you are going to apply it in your day-to-day situations and try to do it. How? We are going to see that in this. What is the first chapter going to be? The first chapter is the introduction. Okay, it can be the introduction to the subject, the book, the topic, and everything. What is it going to be? What is economics is what we are going to understand first. What is the book? Statistics for Economics. So what are we going to do? We are going to talk about what is economics. Then we are going to get to know what do we mean by economic data, how it is related, how economics is related with statistics, how statistical tools are going to help economists, and then what do we mean by basic economic activities. We are going to know what is meant consumption, production and distribution, and then we are going to get to know about some uses of statistics in the study of economics. What is economic data, how factual it is, and all those details are going to be dealt in this particular chapter. Now first, what are we going to know? We are going to know what is economics. Just recall what you have learned in class 9 and then what you have learned about economics. It is actually the study of man in the ordinary business of life. What is it? It is the, who gave this definition for you? Alfred Marshall, one of the modern economists. He has given this explanation, which is what? It is the study of man, the study of man in the ordinary business of life. Okay. Now when you see the definition in part, you get to know that it is a study of man. It is only for human beings. Then in the ordinary business of life, what do we mean by this? What do we mean by the ordinary business of life is what we are going to discuss next. What are the important points that talk about the ordinary business of life? Now we are going to discuss various different terms, okay, related with economics and the basic economic activities. What are they? First one is called as consumer. Okay, the first one is called consumer. Already we spoke about this, consumer and customer. Now what do we mean by consumer and customer? When you buy a final product, a good or a service, to be utilized by you, to be used by you directly, then you are called a consumer. When you buy something for the use of someone related to you, family, people or your friends, or when you give something to someone as a gift, then you are called a consumer. Okay? Consumer, customer. Customer also will come under the topic consumer. Right? So one who buys things, goods or services for his or her personal use or to the related people, family people, or to give as a gift to someone we know is called a consumer. What is the next term that we are going to know? We are going to talk about a seller. Seller is a person who sells the products or services to you. Right. It might be a big departmental store, or it might be a petty shop, or it might be a greengrocer. Whoever sells you the end product, that person is called as a seller. Right? That person is called as a seller. Who is the next person that we are going to discuss about? We are going to discuss about the producer. What is the difference here? Producer, seller, both are same. Why? Is there a difference between producer and seller? Yes, of course, there is a difference between the terms seller and producer. What are the differences? That is what we are going to discuss. Producer is the person who manufactures the goods, who produces the goods or who manufactures the goods. How? What kind of goods are manufactured or produced? What is that? Like farmers, take farmers, they only produce vegetables, paddy and everything. But in every case, do you procure your goods directly from the producer? No. Greengrocer comes and sells you the vegetables. That place, the greengrocer becomes a seller, whereas the farmer is the producer. You are buying sweets or cakes. Okay? The baker produces it, so he is a producer. But you buy it from a retail shop. You buy chocolates from a retail shop, and that person is called a seller. Okay? You for example, you are buying chocolates. We will take chocolates only as example. The producer is different. The manufacturer or producer, he is different. Whereas when you talk about the seller, he is a retail shop owner. When you buy a product, if you see the back of it, there will be a thing called manufacturer's address. So that person is the actual producer of the product, whereas seller is the person who brings it and reaches it. Clear? We buy products from the seller, not the producer. Only in few cases we buy things directly from the producer, but in many cases we have a person called seller who sells the products to us. And who produces it? Produced by the producer. If the producer only sells the product, then he is called the producer only. If the seller is a person who is not producer. சரியா, ஒரு ஃபார்மர் டைரெக்டாக வெஜிடபிள்ஸை உங்ககிட்ட செல் பண்ணாலும் ஒரு ப்ரொடியூசர் தான். இதுவே ஒரு க்ரீன் க்ரோசர் உங்ககிட்ட கொண்டு வந்து அந்த ப்ராடக்ட்ஸை கொடுக்குறப்போ அவர் ப்ரொடியூசர் ஆக மாட்டார், இஸ் only the seller. Only the person who manufactures or produces the product is called as a producer. Clear? What is next? The next thing is employer. Okay? The next term that we are going to refer is employer. You have studied in business studies. One who gives work to you is called your employer. Right? One who gets work from you and in return pays some salary to you as a remuneration, then that person is called your employer. Then what are you called? You are called an employee. Okay? What do? You work for someone else. It's not your company or your thing, anything. You are just working for someone and in return you get paid. Okay, with a remuneration that is called as employee. Clear, children? So that is the difference between employer and employee. Now in all these cases, what is one common thing that happens? There is the transaction, there is the involvement of money. They are somehow gaining something, especially in monetary basis, right? The consumer, he also has to spend something, and to spend he needs income. Seller, when he sells goods, he gets money for it. Producer, when he produces and passes it to the seller, he is also getting paid for it. Employer pays, whereas employee gets paid. Now all these are called as economic activities. All the things that is done by these people are called as economic activities. Okay, all these are called as what? Whatever a consumer does, whatever a seller does, whatever a producer does, whatever an employer and employee do, they all are called as economic activities. And what it is termed as? It is termed as the ordinary business of life. All the economic activities done by the various people of the society are called as the ordinary business of life. Now coming back to this definition, it is the study. What is the study? Economics. Economics is the study of man in the ordinary business of life. In what terms we are going to discuss? We are going to discuss about the economic activities that are performed by each and everybody. Clear? That is what is explained in this definition. So what is basically economics? You have to have some economic activity there. And when you study how a man is related to that economic activity, then it forms the subject of economics. It is basically the study of consumption, production and distribution. There should be proper distribution and allocation of resources, and of course there should be people to consume the final goods. Clear, children? What is the next thing that we are going to discuss? Okay, everybody is involved in monetary terms, but there are some things that are, that are like fairy tale and all those stuff. Is it true, or whether it is true or not? Will it come under the topic of economics? We have to study about that. For example, in Cinderella, there was a fairy godmother who gave Cinderella everything, golden slippers and all those stuff she got from fairy godmother. Even though it vanished, do we consider it to be economic activity? Cinderella got everything, so is she called a consumer? No. The fairy godmother gave everything, so do we call her a producer? No. So there should be something given or got. Okay, there should be something given or got for making it to be an economic activity. Let it even be a barter system. In exchange, if we give and take goods, then it's fine. But without giving anything, it cannot be called as an economic activity. For example, when your mother cooks food for you, is that an economic activity? No. Your father earns for the family. Your parents, nowadays even mothers are earning, right? So when your parents are earning, when your parents are buying you something, is that even an economic activity considering only your family? No, they are paying someone else. Whatever they do for you cannot be called as an economic activity in terms of you and your father. Clear, children? There should be, what is the involvement there? There should be an economic activity, monetary or some exchange. We cannot get something for nothing. That is what we have studied here. There is a small thing called, there is a small example given in your book about Aladdin and magic lamp. That's why I said about Cinderella. That's more or less the same. Those are fairy tales, but still you can take them as examples trying to understand. Okay, just like the examples of your mother and father. Now what is this example? What are these examples telling us? What are these examples making us let to know is scarcity. Okay, what is it? Scarcity. Scarcity means what? Limited. Or sometimes not enough. Both are same. Limited resources. Right? Limited resources. How do we call it limited resources? Why not? Everything is there, but is it enough for everybody in this world is what is the question. Let's not go to the point of world. We have a river flowing in one city. Do you think the water that is flowing in the river is sufficient for everybody? If it is sufficient, anybody can do anything with water. They can fetch how much ever they want. But what is the condition of today? Even that is a scarce resource. It is a limited resource. How? We have some rules. If you are going to use the river, you have to use it only for drinking purposes. You should fetch only 2 pots a day. Okay, we say like that. Even at home, when we have a water tank, do you think we can use all the water we have? No. What do they say? Even your mom or your dad, what do they say? Close the tap after using it properly. Right? Close the tap, don't waste water and all these things we are saying. Why are we saying this? Because of scarcity. All the resources are limited. Okay? This decides everything. This scarcity decides everything. Because of the scarcity of water only, we had a system called saving water. That is why we are paying money for water. We are buying water nowadays. It's a natural resource, but the sad condition is that we are paying for it. Why? Because it's scarce. We need to use it limitedly. Even if you pay, do you get enough water? No, in water hauling on, they'll say only 5 pots or 2 pots. How much ever you pay, that much of the water only will be given by the government. That limit is there because of what? It is scarce. And this is the root cause of all the economic problems. How? What would be the major economic problems? We will take two important terms, demand and supply. Now when we talk about demand and supply, how do you think scarcity will talk about demand and supply? How? When a good is scarce, the price of the product gets increased because the demand for the product is more. For example, you go to a shop. Okay, especially you can see this in flower markets. If you go with your parents to the flower market, there will be only one packet of flower. Means what happens there is scarcity, not enough. 3 buyers are there, 3 consumers want to buy that. So what will the seller do? See, this packet from morning I sold for 20 rupees. Now I have only 1 packet. So for 25 rupees I am going to sell. All 3 are ready to pay 25 rupees. Demand for the product because it is scarce. So what he will do? See, all are asking for 25. So whoever pays me more, I will give. When one consumer says, okay, I'll pay 50 rupees, I want it urgently, give me, means it will reach that person. So what happens? the price of the product increases. What is the root cause of all these things? Scarcity. Scarcity has made it happen just because of what? The resources are limited. Okay? It is not only in flowers, in everything we have scarcity, starting from water to normal notebooks, in everything we have a scarcity. Because all the resources are limited, it is our responsibility to use it efficiently and effectively. We should not waste any resources. Okay, let it be natural resources or man-made resources. We need to use them properly. Sand. Okay, nowadays what happened? The rivers, we are taking off bits and parts of rivers to build our home. Sand. That is really an economic problem. Why is it an economic problem? How will it lead to an economic problem? Think like an economist. How? When you remove sand, the water content, the erosion will happen. Scientifically, it will not, the water will not come again. So, scarcity of water increases. Same way, the price of water also increases. It's really sad to pay, for a natural resource, for the basic need of life. Okay, this is really sad. And economics happens in our daily life. It is not only for the country this happens, or only for a producer it happens. It affects in each and every part of the society. How? It affects your household even. If something happens to your father's income or your mother's income when it comes low, then we have to, we have to decrease our choice. We have to decrease our choices. We cannot have much of choices. When you have a budget of 500 rupees for buying dress, you go within 500, whatever is available only you have to buy. Why? Because my father is not earning enough. Okay, but at one time when my father is earning so much, what can I do? I can choose for how much ever I want to have. So all these are economic problems, and that is why we are just going to understand economics in this terms. Okay, and again I think this is a very interesting topic. Kindly have your perspective that it is interesting and go through it. It's a really easy topic to understand also. It has a good scope to score. You have a very good scope to score in this subject, and plus what? You can learn a lot. Okay, and as I always say, just don't focus anything on only the exam point of view. Have the point like I am gaining knowledge. Who knows? I don't know how many economists I am addressing today. Many of you might be an economist also. So understand the topic properly. If you have doubts, of course you can get it clarified from me at any time. So what did you understand about scarcity? That all the resources are limited, and scarcity is the root cause of everything. Right from farmers where they produce food, there scarcity comes: water, pesticides, seeds, fertilizers, irrigation facility, scarcity. Then when it is produced also, they need loans and all those things to transport and all those things, scarcity. Then they need transportation facilities, scarcity. When it comes into the market also, we find scarcity. Right? Is it like everything is, whatever is produced in the country is enough for all the people? No, it is not. It is scarce. That is why we are paying so much for something. Okay? Clear? So why? Because the same resources can be used for another purpose also. It has alternative uses. For example, take at your home, if you have milk, you can use it for various purposes. You can drink it as it is, or you can use it for some facial purposes, or you take it to a temple and all those things. It has alternative purposes. Even in cooking there is an alternative purpose. Means imagine the products and services that is produced in this economy. Every resource has an alternative purpose. Water has alternative purposes. You can use it for drinking, washing. Right, many things are there for you to use with water. That is why we say that we need to use the limited resources properly, effectively and efficiently, because they have alternative uses also. If you are not using them very well, one day we will be deprived of all the process and we will not be able to, what to say, promote ourselves in the economy. We have to, go and ask the other countries, which is not good. So far we have been independent. Our freedom fighters have fought a lot for our independence. Just because of our reluctance or negligence in saving our economy, if we go down there, we have to, depend more on imports. Even food materials, if you start to import, then it is really a bad thing. Okay, what are the next things that you are going to discuss? We are going to discuss about 3 important terms that we have to know in economics. They are consumption, production and distribution. Okay, what are they? Consumption, utilization, production, manufacturing the goods and services, distribution, distributing them to the right people in the right amount. Okay, so economics is actually mostly discussed in 3 parts. What are those 3 parts? Consumption, production and distribution. Okay, so when you take economics, it is discussed in 3 different parts. One is called the consumption, production and distribution. Alright, now what does consumption mean? How the consumer decides with his income. It's not that everybody has so much income. Everyone has an income level, and according to that income level, they have to decide what products to buy. I may have 100 rupees only. Still, I need to decide what I have to buy. Same way, one day when I have 10,000 rupees also, I should decide what to buy. It's not that just I got 10,000, I can buy everything and anything. No. Whatever income I have, whatever money I have, with that I need to know what to buy. So this decision is there, right? This is called as the study of consumption. The choice to buy or when you decide what to buy. Okay? When you decide what to buy with your income, then that deals with the study of consumption. There it goes in detail, which is basic, which is needed right now, how essential it is. Okay, what is the pricing, will the price change, what is the demand of the product, all those will come under the study of consumption. What is next? Production. What is the study of production that we have? What to produce and how to produce is the study of production. What, okay, what and how to produce. Alright, what and how to produce will come under production. Alright children, so here in consumption it is deciding what to buy, whereas here it is deciding what to produce and how to produce. There is also a detailed study like what is the economy about, what does the society want, what is the trend providing now, will there be a market for my product if I produce that, what is the process that I have to use for the production. Everything falls under this particular topic. Dear children, that is called as production. What is the next thing? Distribution. What is it? National income or total income, or what do we call it as? GDP. GDP is the gross domestic product, which is also called the national income. Okay? From whatever production you have done, whatever income you have received is called your GDP. Okay, what is it? It is about the wages, profits, interest. How we are distributing the income is called as distribution. Okay, you are getting some profits or wages or salaries, right? How are you distributing? When you have a profit, you will consume something, you want to buy something. So the consumption comes in. Or when you have a profit, you want to produce something, production comes in. consumption. So all these are interrelated. There is nothing like I can study only about consumption and I can understand economics. No. Economics has to be studied in these three parts. What are they? Consumption, production and distribution. These are studies of it. Now in consumption, what will you decide? You will decide what to buy with the amount that I have. Okay, deciding what to buy. What is this production? What and how to produce is the production. And deciding about the production. What is the next thing? Distribution. What is the national income that you have, GDP, and how you have distributed it in terms of for factors of production, for wages and salaries, and what is retained as profits and interests. This you have to think about. That is called as the distribution of resources. Excuse me, clear children? So these are the important things that we have to do it. Now there is an example that is being quoted here. What is it? You might want to know why or what extent some households in our society have the capacity to earn much more than others. So we see that even in one organization, we see that one person earns more than the other. It's not that everybody's wages or salaries are the same. What makes them earn more, or what has made the employer pay that particular person more? That is also coming under the study of economics. Okay, why we are paying that person more than this person is also economics. How people are like, some people are rich, some are poor. That is also study of economics. Some are highly educated, whereas there are illiterate people still today. What is the reason for it? Then people are like, some companies, they have so many employment opportunities. They are in need of employees all the time, but still unemployment prevails. We have so many industries in the country, okay, but still there are unemployed people. Even they are highly educated, they are unemployed. Why? What is the reason of poverty? Still we have so many lakhs of people under the poverty line. Why do we have to even have a poverty line? All these questions are answered in economics. Okay, all these questions are answered in what? In economics. So how do you define economics in short? You will define it as economics is the study of how people and society chooses to employ scarce resources. What you have to decide? So what does economics do? Economics is the study of what? Of how to employ scarce resources. We know all the resources are limited. How are you going to employ them? How you are going to get the maximum out of them? Alternate uses are there. Okay? Alternate uses are there for all scarce resources. So where you are going to use it? And how you are going to produce various commodities to satisfy the wants and needs of the customers. Okay? And how we are going to distribute them for consumption among persons or groups in society. Now we discussed consumption, production and distribution. Now what is economics said to be? Economics is the study of how to employ the scarce resources which have alternative uses, which has various uses. So you have to decide in which production should I use the resources. Okay, I need fuel and all kinds of production means for which I have to give it more. Okay, I have to choose that first. I have to think of it. I have to study about it. And then what are the commodities that I have to produce? Finally, I have to produce the commodities for what? For satisfying the wants of the customers of the society, of the people of the society. And then finally, how am I going to distribute it to them? That is, each group in the society should receive it. Okay? Here we produce rice not only for Tanjore, we produce it for all over the country, people who survive everywhere in the country, they need rice. People who eat rice, we need to produce for them. We need to satisfy their wants. Okay, so how you are going to distribute it? That is what economics talk about. Okay, and mainly it is the study of people and society who choose what? Choose to employ the scarce resources which has alternative uses. Which is what? Which has alternative uses to what? To produce various commodities. Produce various commodities. Why do we have to produce various commodities? In order to satisfy their wants and needs. Okay, and distribute them for what? After producing, what you will do? You will distribute the products for the consumption of various groups in society. Who are these groups? People. Okay, I didn't memorize this definition. I have said it because I have understood it. Same way, there is no need for you to memorize it. Understand it. Ask as many questions as possible, and so you will be able to do it. What is economics? Economics is the study of people and society. Of what? What are the people and society going to do? They are going to employ the scarce resources. How are these scarce resources? They have alternative uses. These scarce resources have alternative uses. Why are they going to employ the scarce resources? In order to produce various commodities. For what we have to produce various commodities? To satisfy the wants of people. And how will you satisfy the wants? By distributing them among the various groups in the society. So when you finally have all the answers together, it becomes economics. It's a study of people and society who employ scarce resources which has alternative uses in order to produce various commodities to satisfy the wants of people and distribute the goods among various groups of the society. For what? For consumption. Clear, children? This is what is called as economics. Statistical economics. How are we going to involve statistics in economics is what we are going to discuss next. Okay? What is the next thing that we are going to discuss? We are going to discuss about how statistics is in economics. How statistics falls with economics. Statistics in economics. Statistics means what? Giving numerical terms. Okay, giving you data in numerical terms is called as statistics. How you do it? By collection and analyzing and interpreting the data and presenting the data. What do we do with statistics in economics? We have economic facts. Facts related to economics. Okay? Facts related to economics, which are called as economic data. How do you call it? Economic data. Facts related to economics are also known as the economic data. What do you do them? You use them for analyzing. Okay? You use them for analyzing how it has happened. For example, when you talk about employment and unemployment, you just can't say that there is so much of unemployment here. So much means how much? So you need to have the facts and you will be presenting it in numerical terms called data. What are you going to do? Yes, I have received in one particular city, I know how many people are unemployed. What are you going to do with it? You're going to analyze it. Okay? You're going to analyze it and make sure some steps are taken for that. I have to eradicate poverty means just by saying it you can't eradicate. You need to study about it. You need to get some information about it. How do you do it? Using facts and data. And what are these facts called? They are called as economic data. Okay? They are called as economic facts and economic data. They will be put into practice. You will be analyzing them and you will be using them. Okay? Fine. Now what are we going to do then? We are going to understand what is statistics. We have known that statistics in economics, why do we use measures which are called as policies. Okay, when you have the data about unemployment only, you can take some measures for it. What do you call it? You call them policies. Now we are going to understand what is statistics and what is the relationship between economics and statistics. Okay? What is statistics? It deals with data we saw. What are we going to do with the data? We are going to collect it. We are going to analyze the data. We are going to interpret it. And finally present the data. Okay, how are we going to do it? We have various statistics techniques like mean, variance, median, standard deviation, so many things which we will be discussing future. Okay, we will be discussing them in future. And where are we going to use statistics? Only in economics? No. Statistics has a wide range of use in management, in physics, in finance, psychology, sociology, economics, accounting, everywhere you have statistics used. What is it? It's basically data. Even in maths you have a thing called data handling, right? So you will draw bar diagram, you will find mean, median, mode, all those things. Like that only here also we are going to employ statistics for what? For collecting, analyzing, interpreting and presenting the economic data. Okay? And it is done in numerical terms. Because everything in theoretical term cannot be analyzed clearly. So when you have it in numerical terms, it is easy to analyze. So when you ask like who has more sugar, I have more sugar in my coffee or I want more sugar in my coffee, means nobody will understand. When you say I want 2 spoons of sugar, then yes, it is easy to understand. That's why we are going to make use of statistics here. When we talk about, when we say, nowadays we are hearing statistics a lot. We are seeing it in newspaper, we are seeing it in news. So many people got affected by corona. If just we say that so many people means how many people, whether it has increased or decreased, they are analyzing it, right? How they are analyzing? Today 10 people, tomorrow 8 people means it has decreased. Today 10 people, tomorrow 20 people means it has increased. So based on the analyzing, they are taking the necessary measures. If it is increasing in one day, what they are doing? They are giving more protection there. They are like telling people that then we have lockdown in that particular city or in that particular area. So for all these things, we need the numerical data which is called as statistics. Even in medicine, we are using this statistics. So what are we going to do next? We are going to do how statistics is used in economics, how statistics is needed in economics. What are we going to do in this particular subject? We are going to learn how to collect the data. Okay, the next chapter is actually going to be collection of data. How are you going to collect data? Then you are going to talk about how to represent it in tabular diagrammatic form. Then only you can analyze it. Just seeing the paper you can't do it. You need to organize the data correctly, right? That and all will come. Then you will use various statistical tools like mean, variance, standard deviation, median, for all those things. You will be using various statistical tools. What are they called as? Statistical tools. Okay. And then finally you will analyze and present the data. Whatever you have studied from that, you will analyze and present the data. What does statistics do here? What is it actually talking about? We said that it will help us in taking measures which are called as policies. How are we going to do that? Statistics is an indispensable tool. For economics, it is indispensable. Why? Because it is going to give you data for analyzing. If you don't have statistics, it will all be immaterial. Right? If it is not in numbers, it is very difficult to analyze. So you need a number. Even in national income, GDP, how do you refer? You see it in number, numerical terms. Based on that, they will analyze whether it is increased or decreased, whether there is an inflation or a deflation. All this will be referred with the help of numerical data, and this is also called as economic facts or economic is economic data which are counted to be exact. What? Which are counted to be exact. When these are presented in statistical terms, when economic data is presented in statistical terms, then they are counted to be facts, that they are true, that they are exact. Okay, so we are going to discuss various statistical tools in this particular subject. Dear children, so the use of statistics is there. It has various uses, like it helps in analyzing or finding the relationship between various economic factors. So men are doing well or women are doing well. Okay, which city has high literacy rate? How did they find which city has high literacy rate? Just by seeing the city? No, they had data. It helps them to compare and contrast. And then it helps them to form out the policies, the measures to eradicate that particular problem. Okay, and all those things. These are all needed. The statistic does not end in class 11. It continues in class 12 also, where we will be reading about expenditures, income method, consumption expenditure and all other expenditures. How do you calculate your GDP, everything. So overall, what do we like to say is statistics is getting its place in the economy day by day. Its place is becoming very, very important and crucial. Okay, that is the reason we are going to learn, or we are going to have statistics along with economics, so that we will be able to understand a problem more in of exact terms, so that we can work it out properly and find the suitable measures. Dear children, so what did we discuss in chapter 1 about introduction? The topic introduction, we spoke about the various economic activities. As Alfred Marshall has said, the study of man. Economics is what? It is the study of man in the ordinary business of life. What did we discuss as ordinary business of life? Any economic activity of the consumer, producer, seller, employer, employee, their economic activities are called as the ordinary business of life. Then we discussed what do we mean by consumption, production and distribution. Finally, we came into a conclusion about the definition of economics. What is that? Economics is the study of man and society, people in society, of how they employ the scarce resources. We studied about scarcity and how they have to employ their resources. Okay, how they have to employ their scarce resources which have alternative uses. For what they have to employ these resources? To produce various commodities required by the people of the society. For what? To satisfy their wants and for the proper distribution of the end products. Okay, then we discussed what did we mean by statistics and how statistics helps in economics. Okay, statistics helps us for analyzing, interpreting and collecting data. This is chapter 1 of introduction. Next lesson is going to be more interesting. We are going to work out sums and all. It is called as a collection of data. So I want you all to first look into this chapter in detail properly. You have the means to reach me also. First look into chapter 1. See whether you are able to work out the worksheet that I am going to give you. See if you understood everything, because this is a base, everything about the topic, and then we can move into the next chapter, which is going to be the collection of data. Right children? So thank you and may all have a good day today.